Hi guys, welcome to chapter 2 of Kensuke's Kingdom. So in the last chapter, we learned that Michael's dad and his mum had lost their jobs, and Michael's dad, kind of on a spur of the moment thing, decided to sell the house, sell the car, and he bought a yacht called the Peggy Sue, and he wants his family to go sailing all around the world. So that's the plan. And I think we'll start straight on chapter 2. So I hope you're comfortable, and here we go. We all sat there, completely dumbstruck. "Oh, I know what you're thinking," my dad went on. "You're thinking, all we've ever done is reservoir sailing, dinghy sailing. You're thinking he's gone crazy, loopy in the head. You're thinking it's dangerous. You're thinking we'll be broke. But I've thought it all out. I've even thought of your Gram. There's a thing. We won't be gone forever, will we? She'll be here when we get back, won't she? She's perfectly healthy. We've got the money. I've done my sums. We're going to do 6 months training. We'll be away a year, 18 months maybe, just as long as the money lasts. We're going to do it safe, do it properly. Mum, you'll do your yacht master's certificate. Oh, didn't I say? Oh, didn't I? You'll be the skipper, Mum. I'll be the first mate and handyman. Michael, you'll be the ship boy. And Stella, well, Stella can be the ship's cat. He was full of it, breathless with excitement. We'll train ourselves up, do a few trips across the channel to France, maybe over to Ireland. We'll get to know this boat like it's one of us. She's a 42-foot Bowman. Best make, the best design. Safest there is. I've done my homework. 6 months' time, and we'll be off around the world. It will be the adventure of a lifetime. Our one chance. We'll never get another one. What do you think? Excellent, I breathed, and it was exactly what I thought. And I'll be skipper, you say? My mother asked. Aye, aye, Captain. My father laughed and gave her a mock salute. What about Michael's school? She went on. I've thought about that too. I asked in the local school down here. It's all arranged. We'll take all the books he'll need. I'll teach him. You'll teach him. He'll teach himself. I'll tell you something for nothing. He'll learn more in a couple of years at sea than he ever would in that monkey school of his, promise. She took a sip of tea and then nodded slowly. All right, she said. I saw she was smiling. Why not? Go ahead, buy the boat, buy the boat. I already have, said my father. Of course it was madness. They knew it. Even I knew it, but it simply didn't matter. Thinking back, it must have been a kind of inspiration driven by desperation. Everybody warned us against it. Gran came visiting and stayed on board. It was all quite ridiculous, she said. Reckless, irresponsible. She was full of doom and gloom. Icebergs, hurricanes, pirates, whales, supertankers, freak waves. She heaped up horror upon horror, thinking to frighten me and so frighten off my mother and father. She succeeded in terrifying me all right, but I never showed it. What she didn't understand was that there were three were well bound together by now in common lunacy. We were now going, and nothing and nobody would stop us. We were doing what people do in fairy tales. We were going off to seek adventure. To begin with, it all happened much like my father had planned, except that the training took a lot longer. We learned that handling a 42-foot boat yacht was not just a dinghy sailing, not just like a dinghy, but in a bigger boat. We were tutored by a whiskered old mariner from the yacht club, Bill Parker. Barnacle Bill, we called him, not to his face, of course. He had been twice round Cape Horn and done 2 single-handed Atlantic crossings, and he'd been across the channel more times than you've had hot dinners, my lad. To tell the truth, none of us really liked him much. He was a hard taskmaster. He treated me and Stella with equal disdain. To him, all animals and children were just a nuisance, and on board a ship, nothing but a liability. So I kept him out of my way as much as possible, and so did Stella. To be fair to him, Barnacle Bill did know his business. By the time he finished with us and my mother was given her certificate, we felt we could sail the Peggy Sue anywhere. He had inculcated in all of us a healthy respect for the sea, but at the same time, we were confident we could handle just about anything the sea could hurl at us. Mind you, there were times when I was scared rigid. My father and I shared our terror together silently. You can't pretend, I learned, with a towering green wall of sea 20 feet high above you bearing down on you. We went down to the trough so deep we never thought we could possibly climb out again. But we did. And we rode out of our terror, rode the waves, and the more we felt sure of ourselves and the boat around us. My mother, though, never showed even the faintest tremor of fear. It was her and the Peggy Sue between them that saw us through our worst moment. She was seasick from time to time, but we never were, so that was something. We lived close, all of us, cheek by jowl, and soon discovered parents were more than just parents. My father became my friend and my shipmate. We came to rely on each other, and as for my mother, the truth is, and I admit it, I didn't know she had it in her. I had always known she was gritty, but she'd always keep on a thing until she'd done it. But she worked night and day over her books and charts until she mastered everything. She never stopped. True, she could be a bit of a tyrant if we didn't keep the boat in ship shape, but neither my father nor I minded that much, though we did pretend to. She was the skipper. She was going to take us around the world and back again. We had absolute confidence in her. We were proud of her. She was just brilliant. And I have to say, the ship's boy and first mate were pretty brilliant too on the winches. At the helm, the dab hands with the baked beans in the galley, we were a great team. So, on September the 10th, 1987, I know the date because I have the ship's log in front of me as I write this. With every nook and cranny loaded with stories and provision, we were at last ready to set sail on our grand adventure, our grand odyssey. Gran was there to wave us off, tearfully. In the end, she even wanted to come with us, to visit Australia. She said she always wanted to see koalas in the wild. There were lots of our friends too, including Barnacle Bill. Eddie Dodds came along with his father. He threw me a football as we cast off. "Lucky mascot," he shouted. When I looked down at it later, he'd signed his name all over it like a World Cup star. Stella barked her farewells at them, and at every boat we passed. But as we were sailing past the Isle of Wight, she fell strangely quiet. Maybe she sensed, as we did, that there was no turning back now. This was not a dream. We were off around the world, and it was really, really, really real. So they've set off on the around the world adventure, and this now is where the book gets really, really interesting and really fun. So when you are in next week, if you want to pick up this book, there are lots of copies in school. I would really recommend it because it's good. So yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you next week, guys.